Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
With only 3 races to go, there are a mere 6 points between our championship leaders. Cavisto and Daly have led the pack for pretty much the whole season, and while Alderding has kept himself in the hunt by winning 3 of the last 6 races, it's looking like more and more of a long shot for him. Will today turn that around? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 18 of the Sunday Drivers' Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Texas Road Course is a very uncommon track to see on schedules, but for those who haven't heard of or seen it before, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway. Much more famous for its oval, it does have a road course which has seen a few major sports car series give it a whirl. 4 different versions can be run, with 3 of them consisting solely of the infield, and the last one being a full roval. With only 10 turns across 2.3 miles, it's a rather simple but fast circuit. Other than the banking on both ends of the speedway, there are 4 hairpins and a single fast chicane to slow things down. But each hairpin provides their own unique challenges. Turn 3 takes you from the high speeds of the oval down into a traditional 180-degree corner. But watch the transition off the banking of the backstretch, as it can easily upset your car. Turn 4 hits you quickly after and has a compromise exit that forces you to cross the track quickly in order to set up for the chicane of 5 and 6. Meanwhile, turn 7 is the fastest of the hairpins and has an increasing radius that forces cars with higher horsepower to be gentle in applying the throttle as they come off the turn. Finally, 8 is the sharpest and slowest, but also the most critical. Drivers won't hit the brakes until they get back around to turn 3, so getting traction and a decent run is imperative. Because so much of the lap is on the banking, expect the slipstream to be a big factor. As for the infield circuits, they're rarely used and quite short, but great for driver training and track days. This venue in Fort Worth will probably continue to be known much more for the 1.5-mile quad oval, but road racers who are willing to look closer will be well aware of the little secret of a road course it holds. Well, DJ, I think it's safe to say that most rovals should have prepared the drivers for kind of what to expect today, but I'm not sure how many even have experience with this specific one.
Yeah, it's a very seldom used road course, to say the least, here at Texas Motor Speedway. But one of the things that is very crucial about this is really unlike the 3 other rovals that we tend to talk about, Indianapolis, Charlotte, and Daytona. This has an uninterrupted run from the backstretch all the way back around to the backstretch. So that means from turn 8 all the way down into turn 3, it's like you're running the traditional oval line around here. And what that means specifically in these MX PS5s is a lot of speed and a lot of drafting that is going to take place. Look for the main overtaking opportunity to be down into turn 3 and maybe a little bit of a fight back there through 4, maybe into 7. But I think the draft is going to be absolutely crucial for these drivers. They are going to have to be very, very heads up about it, and we could very well see a run to the line courtesy of that draft.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be interesting if it gets to the end and they still have a group of them together. Speaking of a group being together, like I said on the top of the show for the points, Kavisto and Daly only 6 apart from one another. As you can see, Alderding is within range, but it's 32 points maximum that you can earn at an event. So he's really got to start cutting down on them, probably beginning with today, or he's got little chance to try and really be in the hunt. Svedanov still holds 4th, but he's a whole nother roughly wins worth back from Stefan even then. So he could actually be mathematically eliminated today. From there, you've got a very tight fight between Xavi Lopez and Sander Ware. Sander's been having a good end of the season himself, and maybe he could jump higher up than just 8th place there. We'll see what he does from here. And then it's another 5 points between Van Rassel and Rye between 9th and 10th. What about in the team standings here, DJ?
Well, up at the top of the team standings, it continues to be positive Delta Motorsports with a narrow margin over Wampy Motorsports. iRacing Netherlands not out of the equation yet because obviously you can have multiple drivers for the same team. So that 37-point deficit not nearly as big as it was for Alderding back in the driver's standings. Spirit 14 Racing kind of an island unto themselves with kind of sus Racing in the same position in 5th place. Close little battle starting to race out though for 6th place with Simtech Racing, TGR, and 2G Parts and Equipment Racing. And don't forget about Dairy is Scary there as well. They're certainly within striking range to be able to move themselves up forward. GIF Racing finds themselves in 10th place, a little bit farther back than Dairy is Scary.
As for the Nations Cup, it's basically been Finland and Ireland trying to sort that one out, with the Netherlands now getting within striking distance. They've brought a lot of drivers to the table in this series and have kind of come back into the fore here at the end of the season. The United Kingdom kind of on their own there in 4th place, not really all that close to anybody else, but then they could still switch around since it could be multiple drivers contributing here. From there on down, you don't have too many near fights. Bulgaria and South Africa and Spain are kind of the only ones that are close enough that you're likely to see some swaps around, other than Brazil and Portugal, which are split by 6 points down between 9th and 10th spot. What about today's race here, DJ? Run us through the race details.
Well, it's going to be one of your standard sprint races out here, an 18-lap race with fixed setups for these drivers. So the only differences are going to be what is behind the wheel of the car in the form of the drivers themselves. We do get some bonus points available on offer for today. You get a bonus point for pole, you get a bonus point for fastest lap, and you get a bonus point if you are the hardest charger. So plenty of good bonus points available, and crucially, no pit stops anticipated here over the course of this sprint race.
Indeed. So just going straight throughout unless you need to come in for a spare car, which could be possible. Let's hope that we don't get too much damage out there today as qualifying is underway. And worth noting that even in practice, I heard some drivers talking and saying that the top 13 seem to have gotten their times due to the draft out here. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a few of them clumped together here in these last 8 minutes trying to utilize one another to see if they can get a little bit quicker.
Yeah, especially considering the top 3 right now, where Lopez and Van Rassel really only separated there by about 82 thousandths of a second. Move Tom Daly into that equation as well. The top 4 now only separated by about 0.2 of a second. So plenty of good time to get. And now here's the interesting thing, Joe. We're hearing some reports that some drivers are actually opting not to use the banking around here. Or I guess we are hearing reports that that was on an outlap here as they continue to work their way around. Look like a couple of drivers getting things wrong there coming through turn 3.
And that could be a tough one there coming down off the banking, so don't be surprised if we see a few more, especially on that first lap, if drivers find themselves kind of in the midst of a group, as it looks like Tom Daly is going to park it. So he's going to try and find himself a friend to work with. Kavisto only down in 7th. Daly's in 4th right now. And coming back onto the oval once again, he's going to get a nice little pull from Tuin there in front of him in the 86. So that'll at least give him maybe a hint of some time, but not much here, as it looks like maybe he's going to stay out of the way. No, he's now coming down in front of him. And then Kavisto brings it towards the pit lane. So he's abandoning that lap anyway. So wasn't really happy with what he was seeing there. Checking to see who is looking like they are on a flyer, and not many look like they're going all that fast at the moment. So maybe we're in a bit of a lull here as everybody resets and tries to get where they want to go and also get the tires up to temperature.
Yeah, and that'll be a little bit crucial around here. Track temperature right now about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so a little bit on the chilly side. It's only about 78 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temperature right now, so you're going to probably take a lap to get these tires up to scruff, and especially with this curving infield section with as long as these corners really and truly are, you've got to make sure that particularly the rear tires are up to temperature, as if you try to get on the throttle a little bit too early, that'll be a one-way ticket to wheel spin and getting that rear end to kind of dance around on you, and that is a very easy way to lose time through this infield section.
Do see it looks like Alexandre Longo in the 87 it might be on a quick lap here, and he's in the middle of the infield now as we watch Pedro Marimon, who certainly was heading deep into turn 3 and it was well deep down out of turn 8 as well. There's some smoke in the background, not sure what caused that. As does look like Marimon will be close to a good lap, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to improve. Whereas the 87, I think, is still below his quickest time, and now he's losing time out of the final braking zone through turn 8. So Marimon across the line. Is this going to be a quick one for him? He gets a 33.5, and no, that's about half a second off of his best. As Longo is coming around here, the Frenchman getting ready to cross the line. He lost a lot there out of that final corner exit, so not sure that this 33.6 will be improved upon, and it is not, unfortunately.
Yeah, about 3.5 tenths slower there for Longo. That's not going to be the best running there for him. We ride on board with second place in the championship. Tom Daly getting a little bit too much speed there coming in through turn 3. And now, Joe, that's the opposite of what I was talking about earlier with getting onto the throttle too early and picking up a little bit of that snap oversteer. When you come down into turn 3 like that, it can be very, very hard to judge just how much speed you're carrying. And I don't think that's going to be the only driver that we see getting very crisscrossed there and having to really catch the car coming down into turn 3.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. And the Wampy Motorsports driver trying to bring both himself a championship and also his team. But he's been facing off with the current champion of Kavisto pretty much the entire time. Kavisto's still sitting down in 7th, though, right now. Do see Michael Ellett looking like he might demote both of them here. He gets a 32.2. No. He was only able to improve his time, not his position. Victor Oliveira, in the meantime, onto the oval. Wow, is almost a second up, and that's going to put him far ahead of everybody if he can hold on to this. Here we go. Can the number 13 demolish the pole time here, considering we had the top 3 within a second of one another, 1/10 of a second of one another, and a 31.3 indeed will be a half second faster than Sander.
Wow, that is an impressive run there from the number 13, the Brazilian, really putting down the marker here. And I'm not sure where he necessarily picked up the draft from. He was purple through Sector 1 and Sector 3 on this circuit. But we were talking about that draft earlier, and it looked like Oliveira, at least coming out of NASCAR 3 and 4 there, let's call it turns 9 and 10 on the road course circuit. Looks like he was able to get all of it as they run. Now we ride on board with, I believe that is Javi Lopez, as he's going to come through the final couple of corners here to see what he's going to be able to do.
Yep, already across the line, and I do not see Lopez improving this time, at least, as Sander Weir is going to try and maybe slingshot him a little bit. I do see Brett Ride has jumped up a ton in the 70. He's up to 18th after he used some slipstream himself. But Sander trying to see if maybe he can work together with his teammate, and he's going to abandon that lap as Rodriguez carries on. Meanwhile, as we come onto the oval, another Netherlander is going to carry on as Melvin looks like he's about 3/10 down here, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go quicker. He is towing along Marimon and Alders behind him. So they might be able to pull some slipstream. This is looking like half a second off for the 86. So this should be a slower lap most likely. What about those behind him? It's slower from Melvin. And then across the line, Alders has his lap deleted, and so does Merrimon, so it doesn't matter for them anyways.
Yeah, it looks here like Stefan Alderding may have a little bit of a good lap, seeing green sector times through Sector 2 and Sector 3. Now, he's not going to get the draft here through Sector 4, but let's see the run to the line at 32 flat. That's going to be an improvement up to 7th place for the Norwegian, the Danish driver.
Indeed. So, as Alderding brings it back around and into turn 3. We have to remember that Stefan needs to gain by an average of 10 points per race here to try and take the points lead and take the championship. So Gavisto, much less pressure there. Oh, well, I guess you could say maybe a lot more pressure in the sense that he is very close to Tom Daly, but he is in a much better position than what Alderding is. Crossing the line, Gavisto is off the pace by about 0.3 on that one, although he is helping, I think, is that his teammates? Yeah, Michael Ellett, who is going by in the number 2 machine, who needs to improve from 6th. So they are actually one in front of the other on the grid as they stand, and they've only got 45 seconds left, so this is probably their last lap around.
Yeah, and there you see Ellett getting a little bit wide. That's going to allow for Gavisto to get back on through, and I'm not seeing a fast Sector 1 time there for Cali Gavisto, so he may have to try to gain this up here through the twisty bits, through the infield section here at this point. Here is Stefan Alderding. Remember, he was green on that last lap, jumping his way up into P7. Let's see if the Dutchman here is going to be able to improve a little bit, as there, that improvement not going to come through. 0.5 of a second off.
Oral goes up to 8th with his last lap, and he pulls off. He's not going to complete one more, even though he would have had the time. Last one to cross, Tim Lancaster, to be able to complete another lap. So Daly will be the first to the checkered flag here, and it looks like a slow lap to me. So I don't think the 67 car is going to be higher than 5th on the grid here today. There goes the Irishman. And it looks like, yeah, that was a slow lap for him. Brett Ride, same thing, doesn't improve. Peter Reed is up next in the number 16, and he is looking like he is a bit slow on this lap as well. We watch Melvin from 10th position come to the last real corner of this track, and he's going to have to try and use this slipstream around the oval, which he's going to have a very good toe. He's awful close, so this is going to work out beautifully for him.
Yeah, and that was Patrick Alders getting out of the way, and it looks like there the Melvin 2 and didn't like those times. He's going to pull off and call it a day.
David Geddes crosses the line, but looks like he doesn't improve on that one. So Stefan Alderding is next. I'm not seeing a quick lap for him. Merrimon is very close. He's about a 10th off, and he's got a toe. He could go higher than 17th here.
He could indeed. Let's see. He set a personal best there through Sector 1. Not seeing improvements through Sector 2 and Sector 3, but that pull up in front of him from the orange and yellow machine, that's certainly going to help Pedro. Let's see as he comes to the line, trying to improve on a 133.1. Just missed it.
And the lap got deleted anyways. Looks like that's not going to count for him. I see Sander across the line, and he doesn't take the pole away. He's going to be that half second back, although Rodriguez improves up to 22nd with his latest lap. And is that the last of them? I think it is. Let me double check here. Yeah, looks like we are done now as we head off to our starting grid. Victor Oliveira with Sander Ware in second. Lopez will start from third with Van Rassel in P4. After that, you've got Tom Daly fifth and Michael Ellett sixth. Alderding jumps up into seventh with Oral in eighth, and Gavisto only down in ninth. Their points leader not having a good day there in quali. Melvin Toohen will round out your top 10.
In 11th place, it's going to be Patrick Alders, followed by Jordan Svetanov with Renee Zegelar and Kalle Ratsanen in row 7 behind them. Manula Bacchus will line up in P15 with Mackenzie Mann to his outside. Pedro Marimon will be in 17th, followed by Peter Reed with Brett Ride and Bruno Albino rounding out your top 20.
After that, 21st is David Geddes with Alvaro Rodriguez 22nd. Longo starts 23rd, followed by Lancaster. Inside of the next row is Arturo Davila, and David Mitchell was the only one failing to set a time in qualifying. It's a standing start here, a bit unusual, something you really don't typically see here at Texas Motor Speedway on that front stretch. So let's see how the drivers do with it, as I think we're just waiting on Brett Ride. No, it looks like he is out there. And that means that David Mitchell's the only one that we need to grid up here today. So as we look for him, there he is now on the grid at the very back. That means the engines now start to rev for round 18 and the Sunday Drivers' Cup. And the green flag is out. Victor doesn't look all that great off the line, and he may suffer because of that, because it's a long run down to turn 3 where they finally have braking, but Sanders on the outside, and Lopez, he's got no place to go though. He's going to get boxed in here. So what will this mean once they get down into the braking of that first corner? Unfortunately for Sander, it means that he's going to start to drop back. Oh, bump draft gone wrong, as I think that was Tom Daly trying to get into the back of Lopez, and there's the mess I worried about, his cars getting into one another. Everybody still staying pointed forward though. Someone almost losing it towards the back. That's Longo, but somehow we kept it going. No, we didn't. Sander gets turned around after the corner, and he's to the back of the field.
And I believe that was contact there with Michael Ellett that forced him around there. You can see the number 9 losing positions. That's Javi Lopez looking like he got the corner wrong out of turn 4. That's going to allow for Oral and Davey to slip on by.
Oral up to second position from 6th there at the start, from 8th at the start rather. Daly still down in 3rd spot, but Oliveira is running away as the 51 of Alderding gets turned around. Disaster for his race. That's going to be hard to come back from, especially if the car is too damaged to continue and he needs to take his spare. But Oliveira has done exactly what he needs to do here. He's broken the slipstream.
Yeah, he's 2.5 seconds up in the lead from this pair that you watch right now, Stephen Oral and Tom Daly, and that is exactly what he needs to do. Now, there is some recourse here, specifically if you are Tom Daly. You could be able to maybe use the bump draft here a little bit. It's going to be tricky because in order to get a good bump draft, you've got to be doing it in the bank sections of this track, and that is not the easiest thing to do. But Daly's going to sweep to the outside here, maybe try to get that number 67 around the outside of Stephen Oral. He's going to have a nose ahead, but Oral's going to have the preferred line.
Can he do it around the outside into turn 3? This is going to be difficult. Maybe he'll go for the over-under as he breaks a little bit early, but he leaves himself open as Lopez tries to duck underneath, and that will mean that Daly cannot cut back on that apex. Looks like, I think Patrick Alders had an issue, as I just saw him tow into pit lane. Things get very close though between Lopez and Daly. They're coming through turn 4. Melvin's going to try and see if he can get his nose in, but has to back out through the chicane. Now Cavisto, who hasn't lost sight with his points rival, is becoming a part of the equation.
He's going to back off a little bit early in the braking zone into turn 7, but still hold a narrower line as we ride on board with the number 1 here. Watch for him to take a little bit of a later apex, potentially through turn 8, try to maximize momentum as much as possible. Let this field stack up a little bit in front of him and just get a great draft off these 3-4 cars in front.
Daly's going to get the slipstream from Oral once again, but he's also going to be giving it to Lopez, Tuin, and Cavisto. How much can they gain on those two, especially if they start to go too wide and make a bigger hole in the air? And there it is right there as they come onto the quad oval. Daly now looking for second place. Can he clear him down by oval turn 1?
Well, it's going to be tight here, and remember, when they get back into that turn 1 here, that inside line is going to be favored. These cars don't really have the horsepower to be able to run the outside lane to carry momentum. Almost a little bit contact there in the back as we're going to go Noah's Ark down into 3.
Melvin manages to get one past Lopez. Oh, but a bunch of them going wide, including Stephen Oral. He's missed the braking, and he's going to lose a whole bunch of spots. He has to wait to get back onto the track. There in the background, you can see him having to stay stationary looking for an opening. And we had a bit of an amazing wreck behind them. I'm trying to figure out, Ellett involved in that? There was about 3 or 4 cars off.
Yeah, I see Albino also dropping down through the order there, so I think he may have been involved as well. Brett Ride potentially too.
Yeah, just made that out myself. So few cars, unfortunately, falling victim, having to take tows there with that huge little accident as they come into turn 8 now. Daly is ahead of the group. Now that he has managed to get to the point, does he have the pace to try and catch up Victor? It's up to about 2.8 seconds. So in spite of the battling he was having with Oral, he hasn't really lost all that much time.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that, if I'm honest, Joe. I would have thought he would have lost a lot more time as they ran around, but he's not going to be done with the battling here, as Melvin Tewin certainly looks like he's starting to close in behind here a little bit at this point. He's going to take that look to the outside and see what he's able to do.
Don't think he's going to have enough room here. Let's see if he tries a go down into turn 3. If he doesn't, we've got a replay on that incident with Elliott Ride coming out of that very turn, and that's an early braking from Melvin. So yeah, he's not trying anything quite yet. But let's take a look and see if we can dissect what happened, because this was utter chaos down here in the midfield coming out of turn 3. Oh, there's a little touch there. Is there another one? Oh, a spin from the 2, and that whips him across the track. That explains why it's such chaos. He just lost control.
Yeah, it looked like that rear end got a little bit slippery there on him. He was trying to gather the car back up underneath him, but the 70, or the number 2 rather, just snapped like that as it spun around right into the 70 there, and that is going to be enough to cause the carnage.
Yeah, a couple cars T-boning him in the process, and definitely has that sent them into pit lane? Yeah, Brett Wright had to come in and just get a spare car, so he was one of those that suffered from that one. Back up to the battle for second. It's down to 2.7 seconds up to Oliveira. Last lap was not quicker for Tom, but this time with him being in clear air, let's see how much he was able to gain, if he winds up gaining in the end, because they're coming to the start-finish line now. Oliveira, I can report, got a 32.8. That's his personal best. Daly, a 32.6. Might as well call it a 32.7, honestly. So a 10th faster, but that's not enough laps if he's only a 10th faster each lap.
Well, let's keep our eyes here on Cali Cavisto, who now works his way down to the inside on Melvin Tewin. Cavisto set the fastest lap of the race. Well, that's immediately picked away by Pedro Marimon, but he was particularly quick there, dipping down into the 131s, so almost a full second faster there than Victor Oliveira. That is going to be enough to catch him if he is able to maintain that speed.
Wonder if how much of that was helped by the slipstream, though. And if anything, Cavisto is probably more concerned with Daly because he needs to re-overtake him in the points championship here. So will that number 1 car be really focusing on racing this number 67, especially when you consider the fact that he's probably not going to be able to run away, DJ. So if I was Cali, I'd maybe just sit behind Tom until it gets down to the last few laps.
Yeah, I think that could be a strategy. The only counter that I could see is maybe if these two want to work together a little bit, try to play a little bit of a game of leapfrog to see if that's going to be able to allow them to catch up to Victor Oliveira. But if that's not going to play itself out, I think sitting back in the catbird seat here, sitting in second position is the way you want to be coming with your title rival to the line.
I think Victor's going to lengthen the gap this time. If I'm looking at the live timing correctly, it's a 32.5. Victor's really finding pace now, and Tom only runs a 33 flat. He was floundering on that time around, as he's now going to have to go side by side with his championship rival, but the outside line for the Finn will not merit the position.
No, it certainly will not. Little bit of a run up the track there, trying to force him out of enough room as possible, as now Tom's going to dive down into the corner there. Tewin looking like a good job to be able to try to sneak to the inside of turn 3. Going to be a little bit of close running there. I think Tewin had to jump on the brakes. That's going to give the position over to Cali Cavisto.
Yeah, Tom wanted to drift across the natural racing line, and Melvin wasn't going, and so he had to lift in the end. So this puts Cavisto right back behind Tom at this stage, and we're still very early. This is only a third of the way into this event, and coming down into turn 7, one of the fastest of the 4 hairpins there in the infield. Not really much of a passing spot for the trio this time. This will be telling to see what Cali does out onto the oval. Does he continue to try and go around the outside, or maybe cut underneath on the exit? If he gets the inside into the corner, that'll give him the spot essentially.
Well, and I've noticed he's done that on the past couple of laps, Joe. He's just been able to take a narrower line off of turn 8 and get down to the inside. Now, you see Tom Daly really giving him space there, and that's going to allow for Daly to tuck right up behind in the draft, and now he's going to poke his nose to the outside. Cowley defending the inside quite well there, but that's really, I think, what the battle is going to be coming down to the line if it continues on like this, is who's going to be able to get down to that inside off of turn 8.
Well, it's not going to be Tom Daly because the hole closes before he can get in there. Melvin just finding himself on the rear of Cavisto's bumper. In fact, he's going to try and see if he can take the inside away down into turn 3. You can see how much they're sliding into that third corner every time they approach. So Daly loses both spots in the process, and don't look now, but they've got Xavi Lopez and William Van Rassel who've caught back up to them.
Yep, this is turning into a 5-car battle here at this point. Javi Lopez,
Sorry, there's contact there between Daly and Melvin coming through the chicane. That's a pretty single file affair. I'm surprised he risked that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was as well. I think he just definitely doesn't want to lose touch here with Cowley Cavisto. He knows how important it is to keep that championship alive and keep ahead of him here at this point. And he's going to do absolutely everything he can to keep onto the back of that number 1.
Well, because of that little touch that he had, he's lost ground by about a second to Cavisto. I almost think this could be a good thing, though. Now that he's been backed up a little bit, I wonder if the slingshot will be greater, give him more momentum.
You read my mind, Joe. The question's going to be is if he falls out of that slipstreaming range. Now, the gap's at about 9/10 of a second, and it is coming down. He's just got to be careful about the timing. From what I was able to suss out, you want to be within about 7 to 8/10 of a second to really get a good move going down into the corner, but not always crucial to be able to do it.
It's come down to about 5/10, and he's just a bit too far back. In fact, he's going to have to play defense on Melvin, who can't get there. Whoa, speaking of getting there, almost pushing the Finn through the corner. The Irishman really was magnificent under braking down into turn 3. So put that note away for the future. If it comes down to a game of chicken, I think Tom's going to win that one.
Yeah, Tom, a lot more confident on the binders coming down into the corner, and that's really and truly going to set him up to try to be able to get some good moves on that last lap, or as long as it will run. As we watch here, we continue to keep our eyes on this battle. The Wumpy Motorsports driver able to get a narrower line there through turn 7. Now, the problem is that's going to set him up to the outside here of turn 8, and Cowley's going to be right in the catbird's position, able to keep the inside line here through 9 and 10.
It's going to be on that inside line coming onto the oval, though. Let's see if he can do it, because it looks like Tom's trying to cut down, and he does. So that will deny Cavisto the chance to try and attack on the inside. We do have a replay, it sounds like, of an incident between Zegular and Geddes. Not sure what this was. Let's take a look.
Come back to the replay here. That is the number 52 on your screen of Renee Zegular. Ooh, little bit of how you doing coming down into turn 3. I think that was a little bit of contact there from behind from Geddes.
Yeah, unfortunately, when somebody else into the barrier there, I think David just outbraking himself into the wall, maybe? Yep. Oh, and, well, at that point, maybe he should have just bailed out into the runoff on the rest of the oval, turned it around and tried to keep going, because that sent him right into the tires there as we come back live. And it is still very much on for second position. Melvin ahead of Daly, ahead of Van Rassel. Cavisto slips down into 5th, and that's Lopez at the tail of the train.
Yes, this is a close running here, and I think for Cowley Cavisto, this is not what he wants to see. He would much rather be in a one-on-one scrap with Tom Daly, and to have him losing out here a little bit is not what he wants. He's going to be eager to try to get by Willem Van Rassel and try to be able to move his way around him as much as possible.
Absolutely, and considering Alderding is close to a lap down here, they no longer really have to worry about him. He's going to lose a lot of points to them in this race. So it is about Daly versus Cavisto when it comes to championship rivals at the top of the points here. Ooh, and what was that there from Melvin?
I'm not sure. It looks like he just picked up a little bit of understeer coming off at turn 10. I'm not entirely sure what that was.
Almost like he's letting Tom go through, maybe, and not sure. Maybe he wants to be at the back of this group towards the end of the race. Now he's dropping below Van Rassel, and Van Rassel's going to get a chance on Tom Daly. Tom does not defend down to the corner, long way around. Actually seems to be slightly better. Oh, wheels just into the grass as he flirts with the edge of grip there, and it is going to give him the inside down into turn 4 now. So you can defend from the outside. You'll have to watch out for it. Oh, poor Stephen Orrell, who we saw go wide earlier in the race. Looks like he's now fallen down even farther into 15th place. Not sure what happened to them. Oh, and down into turn 7. I said it's going to be hard to pass. Looks like Van Rassel's not listening to that advice as he gets his nose in.
Okay, pokes his nose in there, tries to be able to get a little bit of an advantage. Going to do it again there, going down into turn 8. Contact there between himself and Daly. That's going to force Daly way out wide. And look who's ready to pick up the pieces. It's Cali Cavisto.
These aggressive moves are the last thing that Tom needs right now. He needs to get decent results, because if he loses a chunk of points to Cavisto, it'll make the last 2 rounds all the more difficult. It means that Cali could potentially points race to the end. But right now they are nose to tail with Tom leading the way, and the Finn is going to jump up to the high side. We've seen this story multiple times already, and into the wall, just not anticipating where the kink was on the quad oval. That was Melvin.
Yeah, it was, and that honestly looked like an incident that you're akin to seeing sometimes when the Indy cars race here, Joe, just not really compensating for that, as Van Rassel's going to have a little bit of a look down to the inside there going into turn 3. That's going to be Cavisto holding the momentum. Daly getting off into the grass. He's still going to be able to hold the lead, but side by side here back for P3.
Oh boy, they are pushing the edges of everything out here. We're down to 8 laps to go. Up at the front of it, Tom Daly still ahead of Cavisto, but side by side through the chicane once again. You can see how much they slow each other up, Cavisto and Van Rassel, allowing Melvin to get back in despite that big contact with the safer barrier on the front stretch.
Yeah, and he's lucky that he doesn't have more damage on that car. Indeed, it even looks like his right-hand wing mirror is still intact. So that car able to escape through that damage pretty easily. I would have thought there would have been a lot more at the speeds he was traveling.
Same here. It seemed like he thwacked it pretty good. And I know we've been watching a lot of this front battle, but again, it's for a high position and has implications in the championship. Oliveira up in the lead is up to 7.5 seconds ahead of everybody else. He's been scampering away with this one. I have to go check to see how many wins he's actually had this season.
Yeah, we'll have to get a read on that as we ride on board with Melvin Tuen here, taking a little bit of a look to the outside of Willem Van Rassel, trying to see if he can really carry as much speed as possible. He's going to tuck back behind in the draft, not able to get it there, running down the hill a little bit through 1 and 2. Now he's going to try to poke to the inside, try to get that move done. Meanwhile, Cavisto and Daly are side by side in front of him.
This is for second on the track, but Tom is going to prevail. Cali cannot quite get through. Did we lose one in the background there? Thought maybe we did, but it looks like maybe that was a lapped car that we were seeing. So we remain with 5 up here at the front, although Tim Lancaster and Sander Ware had it coming together down into turn 3 as well. So this has proved to be a very frantic track for a lot of drivers, especially those in big packs like this that can't get away from one another.
Yeah, the draft really keeping all drivers in play here at this point. Everybody keeping nice and close with one another, although it does look like we've got a little bit of a breakaway starting to form here with Tom Daly and Cali Cavisto over Melvin Tuen, Willem Van Rassel, and Javi Lopez. But I've got a sneaking suspicion that the battle's going to continue between Daly and Cavisto, and that means that Melvin Tuen's going to be right onto the back of this.
I checked. Victor hasn't even had a podium yet this season, so the 13 is going to really outshine himself today, as Cali's going to try and outshine Tom and get by him on the front stretch on the outside once again. Not sure how much this is going to work based on what we've witnessed already. We're down to 6 laps to go, so now we are into the final third of the race. I'm kind of curious how much the side draft is worth here.
Yeah, I am as well. It doesn't look like the drivers necessarily think it's worth all that much, as you see them not really coming into play on it here at this point, and keeping a wide arcing line coming down into the corner. But that may be something that we see play out near the end of the race if drivers are very desperate to try to gain a little bit as they go. But here they continue to work their way through. Daly able to hold off the attack there from Cali Cavisto.
Like I said, that's really mission critical for him to finish ahead of Cali so that he can cut down on that gap and try to take the championship away from the current reigning Finn there as they come into turn 7 once again. Melvin playing the spoiler. Van Rassel could as well. He's made some aggressive moves of his own. And then don't forget about Xavi Lopez down in the 6th position. A little far back right now, but we've seen bigger tangles so far in today's race, so just don't count anything out. As look at the duck down to the inside, down to the white line there on the banking. Daly's playing no chances, trying to cover the inside, knowing that that is going to make life just almost impossible for Cali Cavisto to get that overtake.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating watching the lines coming out of turn 8. It looks there like Tom Daly is taking an earlier apex into the corner to try to get onto the loud pedal a little bit earlier, but that causes him to drift out to the outside. Meanwhile, on the flip of that, Cali Cavisto is taking a later apex into the corner, which allows him to get to the inside earlier, but blunts his momentum just a little bit, and that allows for Tom to be able to cut him off. It's really pretty fascinating, and I'd be interested to see if any drivers change up their strategy on that, specifically in the last lap here.
Still keeping Cavisto behind, coming through 3, and then switching back into 4. This is reminding me of a lot of another defunct series that we used to cover called the MX5 World Tour. They'd often have one oval race on the course of the season in these MX5s, and it tended to produce racing like this where it's all just down to that slipstream. As trying to defend, Melvin unfortunately can't. Wow, Van Rassel going very far into turn 7, and he's going to have the inside of 8 as well. But really get the job done here.
Let's see if he's able to do it here at this point. No, it looks like he's going to back out of it, so not necessarily out of that. As they work their way now down through again, we see Tom Daly taking that wide line, immediately jumping down to the low side.
So we watch from on board. Tom Daly looking back at his rival. It's going to be, I think, 4 to go here. Yeah, 4 to go now as it pops over. And Cali has been trying and trying and trying. At some point, maybe he's going to have to do something a little bit different. But in this situation where Tom keeps covering the bottom, DJ, what do you do?
I mean, you've got to try to elicit a mistake here. Coming out of turn 8, maybe going down in through turn 7, try to put him offline, get him into a different position, just see what you are able to do. Is Daly's going to be able to keep ahead? Melvin Tuen could play the spoiler here in all of this. If he's able to get down to the inside here of either of these two drivers, it could be a chance for things to shake around a little bit.
Well, he does. Down into turn 4, he moves himself into 3rd, and Cavisto is one spot farther down than he anticipated being late in the race here. He's got to make sure that Xavi Lopez, who's now the one behind him, doesn't demote him yet another, or else he might lose chances to try and go for the win here. Yes, you could use a lot of slipstream to try and slingshot around some other cars, but when you start to get 3-4 cars behind the rival that you're trying to beat, that makes it almost impossible to go by.
Yeah, it certainly does. You've got to try to time this right. Daly taking that traditional line that we've seen him do. I think Melvin Tuen here at this point recognizes exactly what he's thinking. He's going to follow him down to the inside line here and try to see if he can maybe run downhill a little bit, try to carry a little bit more momentum, but it looks like he's just a little bit far back.
Still about 9 seconds behind Oliveira, just kind of cruising in front of them. Melvin, like you said, shaking things up now, and we're going to maybe go 3 wide as Cavisto wants to try and see if he can use the very high line. We are indeed 1, 2, 3 as they go around NASCAR 1 and 2, but the high side still not paying out to underneath the line. That's Xavi Lopez, and is that going to be deep, or is that going to be the lead? It's going to be the lead as Melvin pulls a brilliant move down to the inside of turn 3.
And that's exactly what I was talking about there, Joe. Just see what you can do. As Daly's got a little bit of a blink of internet issues there as they came down into the corner. But yeah, just force the drivers offline a little bit. See if you can elicit them getting off of what they want to run to, and did that to absolute perfection.
Yeah, and I called it the lead. That's second place. We got to remember that with Victor up at the front. The 86 now ahead of the 67. Xavi Lopez did get into 4th as Cavisto's been shuffled down into 5th. What is going on with that number 1? As down the inside through turn 8, looks like Melvin, did he let him through, or is that Tom just being aggressive trying to get the spot back? Going to be down to 2 to go. How do you position yourself from here?
I think what you've got to try to do is need to be leading coming into turn 8, because it looks like if you are able to get down and hug that white line off of the corner, that is a one-way ticket to the lead of this battle. But a great run here for Javi Lopez. Is he going to try to force Daly off? There's contact!
Oh, and it takes out every one of them. Oh my goodness, I wondered if this could be a situation. Van Rassel is going to try to carry on, but how damaged is that car? Wonder if we could get a close-up of the 30. Does look like Daly's able to carry on as well, but just that one little tip, they discover the perils of super speedway racing in the form of MX-5s.
Yes, they do, and I've got to put the blame here a little bit on that yellow and white machine. That was a door that was always going to close there coming through the quad oval. It tightens up, and you saw that massive, massive impact.
And the one that's taking advantage of all this is Peter Reed, as he's now up into 4th position. Where is Cavisto? Oh, he's off the side of the track. He has to take a tow. Cavisto's going to take a huge hit here as we come back live now. So Van Rassel is still in 2nd, Daly's in 3rd, but Peter Reed's the first one with a clean car as he now leads a group. That's Mackenzie Mann. And how about Longo? 17 positions gained in this race.
Remember, Joe, you get a point for the hardest charger, and I think at this point it's going to be hard to unseat Alexander Longo from that position, although he's looking a little bit aggressive there with Mackenzie Mann and Amanu Labakis.
All right, I'm curious what the speed difference is going to be. Will Van Rassel and Daly be suffering here? Will Reed have an easy go round as we get on the final lap? They only have to survive for one more. Olivier is now 17 seconds ahead because of that incident, so he is way up the road.
Yeah, he is absolutely checked out here at this point. Going to be feeling pretty good up at the front of the field here, so he is going to be in very, very good position.
Well, it doesn't look like they're being caught here by those behind, so they may have gotten away lucky. But still, Tom Daly wants to try and maximize his points as he's challenging Van Rassel for 2nd down into turn 3. Can he cut back underneath? Behind them, drivers almost making contact for 4th as well.
Almost making contact for there is 4th, but the battle is certainly on here, and you see Daly trying to take that alternate line, later apex into the corner, trying to scare Van Rassel off of the line, coming through 4. It's not going to work. That orange and white machine will be able to stay ahead for now.
Wants to try and maximize points. This is a good opportunity for Tom to try and really put the championship into his hands. So he looks down into turn 7. No dice on that one. We might have to cut away once they get into turn 8, and almost looked like a little bit of contact there between them coming out of there. This is Victor Oliveira, not even on the podium yet this season. The number 13 down into the line is going to take the win here today at Texas Motor Speedway.
A fantastic run for the number 13 here today, but that's going to bring us right over to our battle with Willem Van Rassel and Tom Daly.
Daly's got the advantage. He's ahead. Will Van Rassel be able to get enough slipstream to try and go past before the start-finish line? He takes another little whiff of it, then he pulls off to the side, and it's going to be close, but it's going to be Daly as he takes 2nd by less than 1/10 of a second. Van Rassel 3rd. Where did Cavisto wind up? He's pulled back out on the track. He is going to have to settle for 22nd, the last car on the lead lap. It was close margins for a number of them down to the line. We got another battle here coming through with the teammate of Tom Daly, as that's David Mitchell, but he can't get there in time. He's about 300ths off of Albino for 16th.
Yeah, he's going to find himself a little bit down the order on that, but a couple of drivers just waiting to finish up here. But Joe, this is an unused road course, but it put on a show here today.
It's a good one for the MX-5s, I have to admit. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Round 18 for the Sunday Drivers' Cup was a good one, but Victor Oliveira probably would argue was a bit of a boring race for him. 17-second lead at the end as he didn't have anyone to battle, but it's his first win and first podium of the season. Behind him, Tom Daly with a critical second place and should take the points lead because of that. Van Rassel was third, rounding out your podium. Peter Reed, probably a little bit surprised to get up to fourth in the end as he had a huge wreck in front of him coming with 2 to go. And he capitalized by taking over a lot of those spots. Mackenzie Mann likewise up to fifth, but Longo with the hard charger bonus points, taking that 6th place finish from 23rd. Stephen Orr was 7th, followed by Amanala Backus with 8th, and then it's Sander Ware in P9 from the front row. Not a good day for him. Marimon rounds out your top 10, DJ.
In 11th, it was Renee Zegelar, followed by Tim Lancaster and Alvaro Rodriguez. Then it was Jordan Zetanov and Callie Ratsinen in P15. Bruno Albino was in 16th with David Mitchell and Michael Ellett behind them. Then it was Arturo Davia and Patrick Alders rounding out your top 20.
From then, 21st went to Cavisto, and Lopez was actually the last one on the lead lap. Apologies, I didn't see that he would be there 22nd. That's one more position and a few scant points for Cavisto. As from there, Brett Ride, David Geddes, Melvin Tuen, and Stefan Alderding all had a bit of messy days out on the track. But it wasn't messy at all for Victor Oliveira. Let's talk to our new winner. And Victor, congratulations. If I'm seeing this correctly, that is your first win of the season and your first podium even. What a jump.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Joe. Can you hear me?
Yes, we have you. And how are you feeling then, finally being able to step atop of those?
Well, I'm feeling really great. You know, this is the end of 3 years on this link. You know, I started with a really old laptop, and now I got a VR. I finally got a sim rig, and I'm really, really happy. Well, it's what we expect when we start racing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you obviously had that great qualifying lap that put you on the pole here, that kind of kept you out of trouble there on the first lap. Were you kind of unbelieving of your luck when you looked back at coming onto the oval at the end of that first lap and seeing that you had such a huge gap to everybody behind?
Yeah, I was already looking at my relatives and watching some smoke behind me. After turn one, on turn two, you can see the exit of turn one, and I saw at one time, and it was a mess, and I think, oh, good. But after this, as I was watching my relative, I think it was a great battle between Tom Daly and Kelly Kvisto, right?
Yes, it was indeed. They were back and forth all race long.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I was far, far ahead of them.
Yeah, that helped you a ton. Now, the last two races going to be Silverstone up next, so that's not really going to compare to this one as much. But then it's off to Daytona Road for the finale. Do you think you can maybe repeat the win with another of the Rovals to help you?
Well, I hope I can get another win next time on Silverstone. Just to prove it's not luck.
Well, we'll be looking out for you, and I like that attitude that it wasn't just the sheer luck of the Roval. Congratulations, anybody you want to thank for that first win.
Yeah, thank you. Can I say something in Portuguese?
Absolutely, go for it.
Muito obrigado a todos que estão assistindo. Muito obrigado, principalmente a minha mãe, minha avó, meu pai, meu irmão, minha irmã, se todo mundo estiver por aí. Parabéns também aos compatriotas que me entendem, o Bruno Albino e todos os outros da liga e que estão assistindo. Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to pop up the champagne, right? And do the champagne shower.
Enjoy. I'm sure he will. That was Victor Oliveira, obviously having fun with this one after getting his first win. DJ, how's your Portuguese? Because I didn't catch any of that.
It's not good, Joe. I got obrigado, which I know is thank you.
I got that much. But we'll come back to that maybe another day with a big thank you as well to the Sunday Drivers' Cup League for bringing us on to cover this season. And also thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. There's links down in the description below in case you need them. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as was mentioned, will be Silverstone Sunday, December 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.